So in today's video, we are going to be talking about how exactly do you manifest peace in your life. On yesterday's video, a viewer left a comment saying that they have been practicing what I have been teaching for a month and they have seen no difference in their lives. Well, that's impossible because I've only been making videos for 2 weeks. But maybe he means he has been following other people and he's been doing what they've been saying and he hasn't been seeing any results. Well, I will be seeking to remedy that with this video, and anybody who follows the instructions in this video will see success, especially if you do it for a month straight. No doubt about that. Now, be warned, if you undertake this journey, as with many other things in life, things get worse before they get better. When you are a fat fuck and you're completely out of shape and you are out of breath by just climbing up a flight of stairs, well, when you're sitting at home on your couch, going through your daily motions, you're comfortable. If you want to get in great shape, well, you're going to have to go to the gym. You're going to have to exercise. It's going to be incredibly uncomfortable. It's going to be painful even. You're going to be sore. However, if you stick with it, on the other side of that pain is happiness, is bliss. You will get to a point where you enjoy working out, where you feel better as a result of working out, and you feel better in general. The same is true when it comes to transforming anything. If you have an old house that is kind of breaking down, but is for the most part livable, in order to transform that house into a beautiful, updated dwelling space, you're going to have to tear down some walls. You're going to have to fork out some money. And you're going to have to spend time and energy, or at the very least pay somebody to spend their time and energy in order to accomplish that. I think you get the point. If you undertake this journey, it is not going to be all smooth sailing. It is not going to be you start this process and then starting today, your life will get more and more peaceful every day. Now, you will begin to feel benefits of practicing these techniques immediately. However, expect chaos. I have an entire video explaining why it is when you begin to shift your energetic frequency, you are going to experience chaos. But like I've just shown you with a couple of examples, that is not weird. That is not strange. It is consistent with the way everything in this universe works. So that said, let us begin. Now, first and foremost, you have to understand the external world, or what you perceive as the external world, is a projection of your mind. It is a reflection of your internal state. As within, so without. However, what you perceive as the external world is the solidified manifestation of the energetic states that you have been holding to consistently up until now. So you don't change your energetic state right now and see immediate transformation in your external world. There is a lag. It takes time for things to go from the metaphysical to the physical. It takes time for your energy to solidify. And when you think about it, if that wasn't the case, assuming the laws of assumption, manifestation, and metaphysics are true, which they are, but assuming they are true, if that was the case, well, with every passing emotion that you would have and every thought that arose in your mind, you would see changes in the world around you. And that would be absolutely chaotic and insane. And so it makes perfect sense that to have a consistent experience of reality, it takes time and consistency and persistence and a high degree of energy, above all, for things to go from the spiritual realm to the physical realm, from the metaphysical to the physical. And so that is also why before you see any changes in your external world, in your physical world, this is going to take time, consistency, and conviction. Now, that said, you can begin to feel the benefits of practicing these techniques immediately. And in fact, all manifestation, the process of bringing into the physical world anything you desire using the science of spirituality, will require you to feel as if the thing you desire is already within your possession mentally. So when it comes to manifesting peace, the approach is no different than manifesting money, a girlfriend, a material object, an opportunity, an experience, no different. You must first shift energetically to being in a state where you already have the thing that you desire mentally, spiritually. This is why your imagination is critical to all manifestations, including manifesting a life of peace. So let's first consider, what exactly does it mean to be at peace? Well, to put it simply, it just means that nothing is bothering you. Everything is fine. You do not need anything. You do not want anything. Everything that you need and desire is already in your possession. That is what it means to be at peace. Let's say you butt heads with someone at work and now you're irritated because they offended you. Well, what would it take for you to go from being irritated to being at peace, i.e., nothing is bothering you? Well, for normal people, for unconscious people, for bots and people who are asleep, and I don't mean that offensively, most of us, including myself, have been bots for their entire lives, for the majority of their lives, until they wake up. Well, most people, in order to get to a state of peace, they need to see the situation between them and their coworker change. They need to see and observe a change in the external world. That coworker starting to treat them better, apologizing possibly, operating differently, being fired, quitting their job, no longer being someone you have to interact with. That's what it takes for most people to be at peace, for them to feel as if justice has been served, for them to feel as if the wrongs that were committed against them have been atoned for, or at the very least, they are no longer a part of your day-to-day experience at your job because they were fired or they quit. That's what it would take for most people to be at peace if they found themselves in a situation like that, which is why you can find many stories of people, and you've probably experienced this yourself, having somebody at work that you just have on the less extreme side, bad energy with. There's just like a weird vibe when you're around them, ranging all the way to, I fucking hate this person. I can't even be in the same room as this person. And if I am forced to, I am going to sit on the opposite side of the room. I am never going to make eye contact with them. I am never going to talk to them. You have people who maintain that relationship, that kind of a relationship with that person for weeks, months, sometimes years. All because they do not see a change in the external. They don't see things becoming what they want it to be. That's how unconscious people operate. Now, let's look at how conscious people operate, people who understand that the universe is mental. Well, you would ask yourself, what would I need for this person to do? What would I need to occur for me to now be at peace with this person in this situation? You imagine that. For everyone, that would be different. Depends on the situation, depends on you, depends on the person and the circumstances. Whatever it is, first, you need to be able to identify that. Do you need them to say sorry? Do you need them to start treating you differently? Do you need them to start behaving differently? Imagine that that reality has come into existence. How does that make you feel? You should feel at peace, right? If that's really what's bothering you, and you imagine a situation where what you want to be reality for you to feel at peace, if you can imagine what that reality is and immerse yourself in it, even if you can only hold it for a few seconds, imagine that person walking up to you and saying, "Hey man, I just want to say I'm sorry. We got off on the wrong foot and I was tripping. Can we just squash the beef? Sorry I said that thing to you. My bad, man. I just want us to be cool." Something along those lines. Just imagine that person right now saying that to you. Maybe it's not a coworker, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's an ex-girlfriend, maybe it's your parents. Doesn't fucking matter. Just imagine them saying something along those lines. You can tweak it to your specific situation. How does that make you feel? You should feel relaxed. You should feel at peace. Well, my friends, there you go. You just manifested peace. Now, the secret is to hold that state for as long as possible. You just got to hold that state. And in all reality, most of us don't walk around with the same bad feeling all day. Negativity, negative thoughts and feelings usually come in waves. So you might just be going about your business, right? Like when you're at work, if you have someone you don't like at work, you're not thinking about that person 24/7. There are instances when you have to interact with that person, or for whatever reason, the thought of that person arises, and in that moment, it irritates you. That is when you employ this mental exercise, imagining a reality where exactly what you want to be reality is reality. And then you adopt that feeling. Now, to prove to you that you can feel your imaginations all the time, I got this trick from Neville Goddard, so credit to him. I want you to imagine that you're holding an orange. I want you to have just an orange sitting in your hand. Can you feel it? Can you feel the skin of the orange? How it has a little bit of give, a little bit of squeeze? Now, I want you to imagine that that orange is now a tennis ball. Did you feel it shrink a little bit in size? Maybe you had a small orange and it grew. Do you feel the fuzziness of the tennis ball? Of course, you don't feel it the same way you would feel it if you had a literal tennis ball in your hand, but there is a difference, is there not, between when you were imagining an orange and a tennis ball? Now, imagine that that tennis ball is a golf ball. You feel the dimples of the golf ball? You feel how hard it is, pause, and small? Now, let's do something that isn't physical. I want you to imagine a cockroach. We did a cockroach in the last video, so I was trying to think of something else, but man, cockroaches, everybody fucking hates cockroaches. Who likes cockroaches, bro? Everybody hates cockroaches. I want you to imagine a cockroach and it's on the roof. You don't see it. Ooh, do you already got the chills? I bet you do. There's no fucking cockroach there, bro. I got goosebumps right now. I'm not even capping, bro. Like, I'm feeling the goosebumps. I don't know if y'all can see them in the camera. Probably can't, but that just gave me goosebumps. Imagine a cockroach, bro. Imagine its little antennas twitching. It's on the roof above you. You don't know it's there. And it just falls on you, bro. Lands on your neck. You see? Now, I guess we still did imagine a physical sensation, but if you also experienced the goosebumps there, you also generated fear off of something that doesn't exist. Now, understand that peace, like fear, is an emotion. And just as you can use your imagination to generate a imaginary situation that caused you to experience fear, and thus you had goosebumps, well, you can also use your imagination to construct an imaginary reality, an imaginary situation that is the opposite of whatever negative situation that you're experiencing, and experience the emotion of peace, of being relaxed, relaxation. Now, this is the 3-day exercise. In the previous video, I said I have a 3-day and a 3-month exercise where if you do this, you will prove to yourself that the laws of attraction, assumption, and metaphysics in general are true. You will notice a shift in your reality. Excuse me. And that's the entire challenge. It's really just doing that anytime any negative energy, negative emotions arise within you. You imagine the version of reality that would alleviate your stress, anxiety, whatever negative emotion it is that you're feeling, whatever emotion or feeling you're having that you don't want to experience. You imagine what would be the antidote, the opposite, the solution to that situation, and immerse yourself in that reality. And you commit to doing that for 3 days straight. And so that's how you manifest peace. It's very simple. I truly could end the video right here. And it's been about 20 minutes. And so that's fairly long enough. But let's talk about what is going to happen, what you should expect if you do this and you do it consistently and persistently. Well, first and foremost, it's going to be difficult initially, especially with certain things. There are going to be certain things that's going to be far easier than others. And so, for instance, an example of an easy thing. Well, I don't know. What's a simple, easy thing? I'll just use my own life as I always do. This is not the first attempt at recording this video. I actually set my camera up at a different location in my house because, as you guys have noticed, I like giving you guys a change of scenery whenever possible. And I set up a brand new location. It was mint. It was fucking nice. I loved how it looked. And my daughters, they had already gone to bed, and the only person that was awake was my son. I don't know, he's somewhere around, he's 10 months, I think. Yeah, I think it's 10 months. It's June? Yeah, 10 months. Just turned 10 months too. Anyway, he's upstairs with his mother. And I asked my wife, I said, hey, I'm gonna be recording right here. Can you just, keep him quiet? Of course, if he does a little babbling or randomly started to cry for a little bit, well, that's understandable, but keep loud shit out of his hands. I'm like 5 minutes into the recording, and then I just hear bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang. He got some stick hitting it on some metal object. And I'll be honest, I was briefly annoyed. right? Because I'm like, hey, I'm trying to record this video. You know, I'm trying to record this video. I asked you to keep the baby quiet. What's going on here? Of course, I don't say all that, but I feel it. I feel it. And then I go, all right. And then I immediately just start to break my shit down. I'm like, I'm just going to record here where I know I get to record in peace and quiet. And look, you know, to my wife, to be fair to my wife, she was there first, right? She was there first. She has to take care of the baby all day. She has to take care of 3 babies all day. My wife is an amazing wife, an amazing mother. And so, you know, to be fair, she was there first. It's kind of like someone watching TV and then you come and you're like, hey, I'm going to be working on some shit right here. Can you keep it down? You know, whatever. Anyway, well, I was annoyed, right? And so I go and I start breaking my shit down. And me being who I am and practicing everything I teach, I immediately detect, because it happens so briefly now and so, you know, irregularly, that I feel waves of negative emotions, that when a negative emotion occurs, even if it's for the slightest thing, it's very loud. It feels like my body feels it very intensely. And so it's like, all right, annoyance detected. Well, first and foremost, let's remember, you manifested that, whether you realize it or not. So take responsibility for it, okay? Now, what, you know, let's deal with this. And so how do I deal with it? Well, I do a couple other things that you really won't be able to take advantage of until you've done the first practice consistently. The manifesting peace, the imagining a reality that is better than the one that you're currently in physically in 3D. Once you've done that long enough, you can do these other 2 things that I do. So I actually didn't imagine, you know, a situation where my son was being quiet or whatever. I'm at the point now where I've been consistently sowing the energetic state of peace for so long in my life, and by so long, I just mean several months, that I am convinced personally, because you only reap what you sow, that anything that happens in my life is actually moving me towards being at peace. And so even when things happen that in the moment seem bad or negative, I'm quickly reminded that I've been sowing peace. And so I should only expect peace from the universe. And so if the universe allowed my son to bang on his sister's metal toy frying pan or whatever it was, then in one way or another, that is actually the universe moving me in a direction, causing me to move for the sake of accomplishing more peace. Maybe I was already going in a direction, recording the video out there, that this video is better. Like this second take just ends up being better, and thus it performs better on YouTube. It helps more people. Thus, ultimately, more peace is achieved in my life, and just believing that, thus, makes me not upset anymore. I genuinely believe that the universe is conspiring to give me a life of peace. To whomever has, more will be given, and whomever does not have, even what he has will be taken away. Something like that. It's in the Bible. Right? You get back what you put out. But I wouldn't be convinced of that had I not already been sowing peace consistently for months. Initially, when bad shit happened to me, I couldn't be so certain that this was the universe giving me that peace, because I had so much negative momentum. The past frequencies that I was occupying that were so negative and dark and angry and frustrated and bitter and all of those feelings that I had been sowing for God knows how long into my universe. Well, when I just started to practice manifesting peace, I had to understand that there was some baggage from my past frequency that was coming along with me. And it was going to take time for the new seeds, the new energetic seeds that I've been sowing to take root and start to bear fruit in my life. And for the old trees, the old energetic trees to die and wither because they're not being fed new energy. And so that's why I could tell you, you could just imagine that the universe is conspiring to generate a life of peace for you. And so anytime anything bad happens to you, or what you might perceive as bad in a moment, is actually something good for your ultimate goal in the end. Reminds me of another Bible verse. And I spoke about why I quote the Bible in my previous video. And so if you're curious about that, if you're a Christian and you know I'm not a Christian, you can go and watch my last video to hear my explanation of that, if that, sparks your curiosity. But there's a Bible verse that says, all things work for the good of those who love God. Something like that. It's the same kind of idea there, right? Anything that happens to me, because I know that I've been sowing peace, I've been aligned with a frequency where the world just goes my way. The world wants me to win. Everything that I desire is already mine. Well, then anything that happens, could, even if it's a flat tire, even if, I stub my toe, I just see it as the universe putting a small obstacle in my way to force me down a different path that ultimately ends or results in me having an amazing life. So I hope that makes sense as to why I don't recommend this for someone who is just starting. Not because you can't adopt it, it's just whether or not you're going to believe it. So to me, it makes sense that you use the first technique and just you're sowing new seeds of peace. Every time you do this, some bullshit happens in your present life, understand that that is the manifestation of your past negative energies. Okay, all right, so instead of pouring energy into it and thus causing it to continue into your future, what you resist persists and what you focus on grows. You're now sowing new seeds of peace using your imagination. And once you have done that, here's the first thing that happens. Your cortisol levels will drop. You'll be less stressed. As a result of being less stressed, you'll feel better. And so even though the external world might not be changing immediately, things might be going as badly as they have been, you will feel better. And the more you do it, the better you get at it and the better you will feel. That's not the part that proves to you manifestation is real. You could always just chalk that up to some kind of mental exercise, exercising discipline in regards to your emotions. However, what will convince you is, in combination to that, once you do that consistently enough and long enough, well, then you'll notice less bullshit happening in your external world as well. And so not only were you feeling better as a result, I know for a fact I was supposed to record this video in here. Look at this shit. I am in the fucking zone, nigga. Goddamn shit. Anyway, not only do you start feeling better because you're less stressed in general, because you're strengthening this muscle of controlling your emotions by using your imagination, Then on top of that, less shit is happening to piss you off. And so you feel even better. And then that's when you'll start to become a believer. Because shit is getting better, right? But you might be thinking to yourself, oh, well, shit. Fucking, this is a fluke. Everybody has a good day or two, or three, or four. And it's when you see the prolonged peace externally, you start looking around and you're like, holy fucking shit. I changed my reality. It's been like 3 fucking weeks and nothing really bad has happened. I don't ever go 3 weeks without some fucking bullshit hitting the fan. Now, I don't know, maybe you were in a less negative place than I was when I started this journey. And so maybe going 3 weeks straight without anything crazy happening to you, or, you know, something super stressful or negative popping up and making you feel real bad. Maybe you're used to that. And so if you do this exercise, you know, you're not going to be convinced until you go 2 months without some shit hitting the fan for you. But I think I was probably pretty average, if not even better than average, at handling stress before I became conscious. And so I don't think the average person listening to this, if you're new to this world of manifestation and spirituality and you know, the metaphysical principles that govern the universe, you were probably a lot like me. And, you know, 3 days wouldn't pass before you got fucking pissed off at some shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's when you have that prolonged, consistent peace, then you're going to be like, okay, no, my life is different now. My life is different. And then, of course, it builds momentum. It keeps getting better, guys. It keeps getting better. Like, it's going to get to a point where you're like, damn, like nothing bad is happening to me. And when you get to my stage, which only took me a little more than 3 months to get here, guys. When you get to my stage, then you'll start believing that, man, I've been so in peace for so long, so consistently, that, well, goddamn, you know, fucking, if this shit just happened and it seemed bad in the moment, you're like, oh, well, the universe only gives me back what I pour into it, and I've been pouring peace. And so if this shit happened, then this must be trying to generate peace some way or another. I can give you all kinds of examples. Don't get me wrong. Things happen in my life that on the surface an unconscious person would describe as negative. Every day. Kid throwing a tantrum when I'm trying to record. Baby banging metal when I'm trying to record. Fucking tire sensor in my car stopped working today. Yesterday, I was trying to record some new music with one of my friends who drove 40 minutes to get here, only for me to realize that a critical cable that I needed for my equipment to record music somehow got lost in me moving to this new house. So he drove here for nothing. I wanted to make music, couldn't make music last night. But all of these situations, I just chalk it up to the universe conspiring to manifest a life of peace, some way or another. Oh, baby crying when I'm trying to record must mean that I should do another take. And in taking another take, it'll be a better take. Oh, lost the cable. I ended up taking him, and he brought his girlfriend too, which I didn't know he was going to do. I ended up taking them both out, you know, to a restaurant, and we had some food. And we had an amazing conversation and talked about some really dope shit. And I feel like we spoke a little bit about this, and I feel like he really seemed like interested because he identified a part in his life, something in his life that he really wants to get better. And he seemed really excited to try this stuff to improve his life. And maybe in him doing that, it changes his life in a positive way, comes back around, we make music together, make a banger, and it fucking goes viral on the internet. Who knows? I don't know. I don't care. I leave it up to the universe. Oh shit, I don't have my phone on me. There was a quote I read today, very powerful quote. But basically it's said something along the lines of bondage and liberation are completely in the mind, right? It's all mental. The Hermetic ancient Egyptian spirituality, they say that the universe is mental. It's all in your head, man. It's all in your head. Literally, it's all in your head. The universe is mental. The universe, your actual reality, you are creating it with your mind. That's not a like a metaphor. I truly believe that your reality is a projection of your mind, your consciousness. But, but it is also true that it is all in your head, so to speak. You decide how you react to situations. But in the past, before I understood that I can use my imagination to create a reality that is an antidote to whatever negative situation I'm going through, and then immerse myself in that reality to experience peace, in the past, I tried to brute force peace. No, they say control your emotions, control your emotions. It's incredibly hard to make yourself feel anything. It's very hard to make yourself feel happy. Like right now, feel the happiest you've ever felt in your life. Go ahead, do it. You can't just make yourself feel happy like that, right? So isn't it weird that when someone is angry or upset, that we say you should just be able to turn it off? No, see what most people call controlling their emotions, they're not controlling their emotions, they're controlling their actions. They still feel angry, but they choose not to act upon the anger. But that energy is still within them, it's still festering within them, it's still manifesting their future. And so, sure, you might consider yourself someone who's good at controlling your emotions because you don't act upon the feelings of anger or jealousy or whatever. But understand, as long as those feelings exist inside your body, especially if they are held consistently and powerfully, they are still actively manifesting the experiences you will have in the future. And so the real goal, the real way to control your emotions is to use your imagination. Put yourself in a different reality. Align with a different frequency. So the 3-day challenge, do that for 3 days. Do that for 3 days, and you will notice a change in your life. You will feel different. You'll feel lighter. Do it for 3 months and you'll see a change in your external reality. That is more than enough time for old energetic trees to start to wither from starvation, and the new seeds that you're planting, every moment you're planting seeds using your energy. And so when you maintain that state of peace, because again, the battle, you only have to fight the battles momentarily. It's okay for you to be in a state of neutrality, going between the ranges of neutrality and peace. It's only when the bullshit arises that you need to actively use your mind and your imagination and whatever techniques work for you to shift to a state of peace. And then once that feeling, that negativity fades away because you didn't energize it, you didn't engage with it, well, then you can go back to being relaxed and just living in the present moment, not even really thinking about it. And so you sow that consistently. Do you see why I say that's easier to do than, let's say you wanted to manifest a Lamborghini? Well, all day you got to walk around in the same frequency of I own a Lamborghini. I'm a guy who owns a Lamborghini. There's a Lamborghini in my garage. You have to walk around feeling like that, not even just thinking it, which that in of itself seems like fucking kill me, nigga. That seems like so much work. But even more than that, feeling it. But of course, the easier way to do that is to reprogram the subconscious mind. And we'll talk about that in the future, because that is also a big hack. But just, this is what we're talking about here in this video, bro. This is elementary. This is fundamentals. This is me teaching you how to left, right, layup, bro. This is not what's going to get you on the Mr. Olympia stage, but it's what will get you a healthy physique. I'm using bodybuilding analogies here, right? You don't got to count calories and do these finely designed and tuned workout programs to get in good shape. If you just cut out most of the bullshit and most of your diet is good and you exercise regularly, you drink water, you get pretty decent sleep, and you do that consistently for 3 months, you're going to get in pretty good shape. But if you want to get on a bodybuilding stage, well, then you're going to have to pull out the big guns. Now you're going to have to exercise more control over your actions. And so, similarly, when you want to start manifesting specific things and in a powerful way, it's going to take a little bit more than just focusing on peace. But like I said, you never need to go beyond just peace. Who is going to fucking die unhappy having lived a life of just peace, bro? It's like most dudes will die a happy man without ever winning a bodybuilding competition. You don't need to get to the point where you're manifesting fucking insane shit. You can. It's available to all of us, but just a life of peace is good. Just like having a decent, nice body is good, you know? Especially in a world with so many obese people, well, it's even the difference, the divide between people living a life of peace and people living a life of stress, chaos, and anxiety, the divide is even. It's far more significant than the divide between fit people and fat people in America. You're going to be in the 0.1% of happy people just by focusing on being at peace. But I imagine if you do it consistently and long enough and your life gets good enough, you're going to get a little bit more ambitious. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more ambitious. Guys, come on, man. This was a great video, powerful video. Thank you for watching. I hope that helps.